Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the Leave No One Behind Mural project. As we begin our presentation, I would like to start off our morning with a brief prayer from our pastor at Border Church, Mr. Pastor John Fanistil. And Pastor John, would you be kindly to open up the press conference for us and the event with a prayer?
Thank you, Robert. Will you pray with me? Oh God, you are a God of all peoples and times and places. We thank you for your presence with us this day. And we thank you for having assembled this remarkable team to advance this project. We know, oh God, that you are always working for justice in the world, seeking to bring light out of darkness and seeking to make the rough paths smooth in our lives. So, oh God, for all those who have suffered the injustice of family separation, we pray especially this day. Thank you for the political courage of our leaders who are bringing these actions before elected officials in Congress. Thank you for the new work at play in this new administration. We pray that doors would be opened, that ears would be opened, that hearts would be opened, and that all who suffer from the loss of family would be reunited soon. Thank you for the leadership of this day, present with us now. And we pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Pastor John. And again, I want to welcome everybody to Leave No One Behind Mural Project. My name is Robert Vivar, co-director with Unified U.S. Deported Veterans Resource Center. And the reason that this project has kicked off is for a very simple reason. And we chose this particular day because it is President's Day. And our message is to President Biden. We want to carry a very loud message to President Biden to let him know to please not to forget his promise, his campaign promises to bring deported veterans home and the reunification of families that have been separated. And we have a very big concern that so far, what we have been hearing about family reunification and bringing deported veterans home is very limited. We hear that only deported veterans and families under the Biden administration is being reviewed. And we also hear that the family reunifications to take place are those that had been separated at the border. This is something that is very concerning to us because too many veterans have been deported all the way from the Clinton administration, the Bushes, and even you, President Biden, and President or ex-President Obama. It is our concern that all veterans are included in this immigration bill, that all deported veterans have the opportunity to return to the country they swore to defend. In the same manner that we have family reunification, that we do not leave out those US citizen children whose parents have been separated from. We need to make sure that this segment of our population is also included in this immigration plan. We cannot comprehend how US citizen children can have their rights neglected by allowing them to grow up with their parents. Therefore, we come to you and we ask you not to forget us, and that is why we are here. And we are very proud of the work of Congressman Chuy Garcia, which has been a big motivator because actually the New Way Forward Act, which has been reintroduced by Congressman Garcia, gives us all hope that this complete immigration package can be put together and can move forward. Congressman Garcia, thank you very much for joining us this morning. You're a champion of our immigrant community, and we're just very ecstatic that you are here with us, sir.
Thank you, Robert Vivar, for the introduction, and to all the partners with us today. I am very delighted to join you all in unveiling the mural honor of deported veterans, dreamers, and families separated. I put my glasses on to catch the best view possible of all the beautiful families and faces and all of those who are yearning to be reunited with their loved ones who have been deported, especially today on President's Day with deported veterans. 2 years ago, one of my constituents, Miguel Perez, was sworn in as a US citizen. To see his face filled with such joy and relief was a reminder of what we're fighting for. And I want you to know, I took him to the State of the Union message to lift up the cause that we gather to rally around and to figure out strategies for advancing today. This moment was an especially significant and hard-earned victory for Miguel, his family, and our community. You see, Miguel served 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan before being stripped of his green card and deported to Mexico for a non-violent drug conviction. Like many returning veterans, he struggled with service-connected PTSD, lacking proper care for his condition. He self-medicated. But instead of connecting him to the resources and treatment that he needed, our country turned its back on him, like countless other immigrant veterans. When asked what he'd do on his first day as a US citizen, Miguel said he wanted to spend time with his son and go bowling. That's all we asked for, an opportunity to live without fear and with our loved ones. Miguel's story shows strength and perseverance, but it also reminds us of the failure of our immigration system, deporting veterans who served their country and the double standard on crimes. Miguel is back home with his son, but thousands of veterans remain deported. The reality is that since 1996, one mistake, even if decades old, is enough to deport a veteran to a country they barely know without regard for the years of patriotic duty to our country. This is the result of our nation's failure to ensure that non-citizen veterans access to naturalization, coupled with draconian immigration laws. That is why I reintroduced a New Way Forward Act last month, which would prohibit the deporting immigrants based on certain drug-related offenses and criminal convictions more than 5 years old. It also provides a legal pathway to come home for anyone who would have benefited if the New Way Forward had existed when they were deported. Many immigrants, such as Miguel, already served their sentence. Deporting them means punishing them twice. This is known in criminal justice as double jeopardy. The Biden administration's Day One immigration proposal is a positive step and demonstrates the administration's commitment to restoring dignity and compassion to our broken immigration system. It's time we reimagine an immigration system guided by justice and compassion, restore the fundamental principles of due process to keep families together. On this President's Day, we want to remind President Biden and the daughter of immigrants, Vice President Harris, that never again should our country deport those who have put their lives on the line to serve the country they love. It's time we chart a new way forward so that all immigrants are treated with the full dignity and respect we all deserve. I look forward to working with you all as we decriminalize immigration and keep families together. Thank you very much. I'll say a few words in Spanish. Robert.
Please, Congressman.
Thank you, sir. Hace 2 años, uno de los residentes de mi distrito, Miguel Pérez, se hizo ciudadano americano. Ver su cara de alegría y descanso fue un recordatorio de las cosas por las que luchamos. Este momento fue especialmente significativo y una victoria que requirió de muchos esfuerzos por parte de Miguel, su familia y su comunidad. Como muchos saben, Miguel estuvo 2 veces en Afganistán antes de que el gobierno le quitara su residencia permanente y fuera deportado a México por un cargo no violento de posesión. Como muchos veteranos que regresan de la guerra, Miguel sufre de desórdenes postraumáticos y falta de cuidado de salud. En lugar de que su país le diera los recursos y tratamiento necesarios, le dio la espalda como a muchos otros veteranos. La historia de Miguel es una de fuerza y perseverancia, pero también es una de una muestra de las fallas en nuestro sistema de inmigración, un sistema que deporta veteranos que sirven a nuestro país y establece un doble estándar en cuanto a crímenes. La realidad es que desde 1996, cualquier error muy viejo es suficiente para deportar a un veterano a un país que casi no conoce sin tomar en cuenta sus años de servicio. Este es el resultado de que nuestro país no asegure acceso al proceso de naturalización a veteranos no ciudadanos, junto a leyes migratorias racistas. Por eso volvió a presentar en este Congreso la ley New Way Forward o Un Nuevo Camino por Delante en español, la cual prohibirá la deportación de veteranos. También provee una vía para que vuelvan a casa para aquellos que ya fueron deportados. Muchos inmigrantes como Miguel ya sirvieron su sentencia. Deportarlos sería castigarlos doble. El plan migratorio del presidente Biden es un primer paso positivo y demuestra el compromiso de este gobierno de restaurar la dignidad y compasión a nuestro sistema de inmigración. Es tiempo de reimaginar un sistema migratorio guiado por justicia y compasión, restaurando los principios fundamentales del debido proceso para mantener a las familias juntas. En este Día de los Presidentes, le queremos recordar al presidente Biden y a la vicepresidenta Harris, una hija de inmigrantes, que nuestro país no puede volver a deportar veteranos que ponen su vida en riesgo por proteger a nuestro país. Es tiempo de empezar un nuevo camino hacia adelante para que todos los inmigrantes sean tratados con el respeto y dignidad que todos merecemos. Estoy listo para trabajar con todos ustedes para despenalizar nuestro sistema migratorio y no separar a más familias. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, congresista García. Se lo agradecemos muchísimo. Congresista García, antes de tomar unas preguntas, we would like to ask you, Congressman Garcia, we know that you have been wanting to visit Tijuana for quite a while, but due to COVID, that was not able to occur. We're going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Friendship Park, the place, the only place on the US-Mexico border where families that have been separated by these broken immigration laws can come together. We're going to be celebrating our 50th anniversary on August 22nd, an anniversary that originated by the designation of Friendship Park by First Lady Pat Nixon back in 1971, where she indicated that she wished that there would be no longer a fence here to divide these two great nations. So we'd like to invite you, Congressman Garcia, to join us, if possible, in that celebration. But we would also like to extend an invitation to First Lady Jill Biden and First Lady Lopez Obrador to join us on that very, very special occasion in commemoration of that 50th anniversary of this great sacred piece of land for us. And if we
Thank you very much, Robert. I will do everything possible. I would love to go to Tijuana and San Diego. I have a family on both sides of the border, so it would be a pleasure to be able to join you for this 50th anniversary of Friendship Art.
Thank you, Congressman Garcia. We would love to have you join us. And if Joe Biden and Mrs. Lopez Obrador come with you, that would make it incredible also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a question for you, Congressman Garcia, from a good friend of ours, Jackie Barshak. Will reform on border construction follow immigration reform for deported veterans?
Well, as we have seen and witnessed quickly in the 3-week-old plus tenure of President Biden, he has issued executive orders to halt the further construction of the wall. A series of other executive orders that are reviewing policies enacted by the Biden administration and perhaps even, the Trump administration, and even prior to that, that are positive indications of important reform that would, of course, create much better conditions and respect the rights of migrants and asylees and refugees. Very interesting things. What this bill, A New Way Forward, seeks to do is decriminalize the crossing of the border and ensuring that people have an opportunity to appear before a judge, that mandatory sentences for people who are apprehended are done away with, and that due process and judicial discretion be reinstated as it was practiced many years ago. This effort to decriminalize immigration laws is in the spirit and in the letter, following through on the letter of a recognition over many years that the mass incarceration system in our country is unfair, that it has a disproportionate impact on people of color, especially African Americans and Latinos and poor people, and that judges should not be forced to sentence people to set predetermined sentences, that judges ought to have the opportunity to look at the full circumstance of an individual situation, their families, their prior histories, etc., not the punitive mandatory sentencing that has happened. Just as people are aware that we need to do this in the criminal justice system, similarly, we believe this needs to happen as it relates to immigration law. Immigration and the criminalization of our broken immigration system puts too many people in jail unnecessarily. And all we're saying is that there ought to be a process by which judges can decide the fate of individuals, taking into account their full circumstance. So for all of those people in the country which has come to appreciate that mandatory sentences are bad in the criminal justice system, similarly, we are saying that a part of that system that has created these systems of unfair mass incarceration needs to look at immigration. And this is an important step in reforming our broken immigration system and reuniting families and being fair to veterans who have been deported because of these mandatory sentences.
Great. Thank you, Congressman Garcia.
Sorry for the long answer.
No, that probably answered quite a few questions that would be coming up. I do have another one in the chat that says, why the New Way Forward Act and no legislation that can be introduced for immigrant veterans, like honoring the Oath Act? And I believe you responded to just about everything that might compromise in that question. One thing though, and this is something that we're also a chapter of Veterans for Peace, and through our Deported Veteran Advocacy Project, For several years, we have been working on getting an amendment to 8 USC Code 1101 Alpha 22, which is also a mentioned in a bill introduced by Congressman Takano a couple of years ago, honoring the Oath Act, HR 5151. And basically, that is part of what our ask is of you also, Congressman Garcia. We know that an executive order to bring our deported veterans home immediately is a quick fix. However, should a new president come into office at one point, that could change very quickly. In order to really have a permanent solution, we need to have legislation passed. And a clarification to amendment to 8 USC Code 1101 Alpha 22, which talks about what constitutes loyalty and allegiance of a person to be considered a national, if not a citizen of the United States, can be addressed by amending this particular USC code to clearly state that when the soldier took the oath of enlistment, they proved beyond a doubt their loyalty and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and should be granted nationalist status, if not citizenship, retroactive to the day that they completed their basic training. In a recent ruling that the ACLU won in Sama versus the Department of Defense, it talks about establishing a policy that once existed to allow those serving that are non-citizens to complete their citizenship process when they complete their basic training. What a great opportunity for our non-citizen members of the military to not only prove their loyalty by completing their basic training, but at that time completing also their US citizenship.
Yes, let me respond. Representative Mark Takano is not just an ally, but a friend. He is supporting a new way forward. He has attended hearings and meetings that we've held in Washington, D.C., and we're working together on other issues like transportation and inflation to put people back to work. So Mark is a friend and an ally. With respect to the bill that you are mentioning, one, an executive order is good, but it is temporary and a Band-Aid. We need to codify like those that will benefit veterans and give them their due process and an opportunity to reunite with families. That is the thrust of a new way forward, and why codifying the elements of the law into the broader immigration system is so important. So we are, of course, welcoming of executive orders, but we know that in order to address the issues that affect veterans and their loved ones and their families and the larger immigrant community, we need immigration reform, and we need to bring about the types of changes that we are having this afternoon, this morning, depending on where you are in the country. And that's why we have put forth this very bold proposal that is known as a new way forward.
Great. Thank you, Congressman Garcia. I know we're getting a little bit close on time, so we're going to bring up just one more, and then we can move on with the program. This is actually kind of a combined question again, and it's from one of our deported veterans, and he's asking, how can Congress get our voices in the Capitol so they can hear our voices? We deported veterans are kept in the shadows while everyone else speaks on our behalf. And in complement with that question was another one by Cesar Nuñez, deported Marine Corps veteran. And his question is, if you would be able to assist in establishing a meeting with President Biden and Cesar and Manuel Valenzuela on May the 4th to present an executive order to bring our deported veterans home.
Well, thank you for those questions. With the pandemic and all of the virtual communications that allow us to see and hear each other regardless of where we may be, it's creating more opportunities for engagement and for good causes like the plight of deported veterans to be raised up so that they become more prominent, more aware, and the pressure will be placed on decision makers such as members of Congress, my colleagues and I, as well as the executive branch, President Biden and the White House, to be responsive to veterans' needs. So I urge everyone on this call, especially Cesar Nuñez and the other gentlemen that you mentioned, to keep up their efforts to communicate in terms of conveying this invitation and this request to the White House. We will convey that message. If you can get something to us in writing in the form of an email, for example, it gives us more standing to deliver the message more powerfully and win the attention of key decision makers, especially in the current administration, whom we have found to be responsive and in whom we're optimistic, and we're hoping to learn what the new Biden bill will have in its content when it's released in the coming days and probably within the next couple of weeks. We're hopeful, and we've heard encouraging signs that some elements of a new way forward may be in the Biden package on immigration reform. So again, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for raising this issue and the profile and the urgency of addressing the cause of deported veterans and their striving for family reunification and their efforts to come back home.
Thank you, Congressman Garcia. We appreciate all your efforts, all your work. You're a true champion of our immigrant community, and that is proven by you reintroducing this legislation and working so hard on it. And we will do our part to make sure that we continue to spread awareness and seek support across the country for the New Way Forward Act. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. And I'm looking forward to meeting Councilwoman Joanna Bencomo también de Las Cruces, Nuevo Mexico.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we want to give her a big shout out for all her support out of Las Cruces. And we hope that she too can perhaps join us on the 50th anniversary, COVID permitting, of course.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and move on with the program, which we're running a little bit late. We would like to have our Marine Corps veteran, Cesar Nuñez, talk to us a little bit about community policy and the advocacy on the executive order. Cesar?
Thank you, Robert. I prepared a statement because of time constraints, so I'm going to get right on it. My name is Cesar Lopez. I'm the founder of Unified U.S. Deported Veterans, along with Alex Murillo. He's also on the call from Tijuana. After 8 years of advocacy for deported veterans, I have achieved limited success at all levels of government, local, state, and federal. Because of this fact, I decided to switch my legislative lobby efforts to concentrate on an executive order from the Commander-in-Chief of the military. We strongly believe this to be a military issue rather than an immigration issue. We feel that the best way to fix this injustice is to go up our chain of command to our president and ask him to sign the executive order drafted by Elizabeth Ritchie, an immigration attorney with 20 years experience from Rambana law offices in Florida. I know that an executive order is a temporary fix, That's why I am also asking Congress and the Senate to support our troops by asking President Biden to sign the executive order for immediate relief for our deported veterans, and also pass Congressman Chuy Garcia's bill, the new way forward for comprehensive immigration reform for everyone. The injustice perpetrated on our deported veterans does not end with our deportations. Our families suffer from the destruction of the family unit. Our children suffer from our absence and become more vulnerable to the pitfalls of our already vulnerable immigrant communities. Our parents and siblings continue with their lives with the guilt of not being able to assist their veteran family members. Our veterans are being punished by the very system of government that we swore to protect. We're being punished 3 times by our country. 1, by failing to assist veterans to integrate into civilian life with proper sources of assistance. 2, by deporting veterans right after they have served the full term of their sentences. And 3, denying deported veterans with benefits earned while in service to our nation. I managed to have a face-to-face with Joe Biden on May 9th on 2019 and Kamala Harris June 5th on 2019 in Las Vegas, Nevada, while filming the Netflix documentary Immigration Nation, where I publicly asked them if they elected, they will stop the deportation of veterans and repatriation with an executive order. They both agreed that they will stop the deportation of veterans and will sign an executive order to repatriate us. We're asking all our Congress representatives and senators to help us remind our president and vice president to fulfill their campaign commitment to repatriate our deported veterans. Cesar Lopez, USNC, Semper Fi, founder of Unified U.S. Deported Veterans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cesar. We're going to now ask F. Mead, professor at University of San Diego, to share some words and thoughts on the New Way Forward Act.
Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you, Congressman Garcia, for coming. It's so awesome to see you in Congress, by the way. I met you in Chicago a long time ago, and it's marvelous to see you there. We need you. Let me just give 3 quick reasons, and I'm targeting these to our friends in the press because they're narratives that we need to get out there about the New Way Forward. The first thing I want to say about it, what makes it really unique, is that it's the only immigration reform bill that we have on the table, or that we've had on the table, frankly, for a long time, that actually addresses the harm done and the harm already in process to our families and our communities. You have to remember, and this is something that we just don't have a broad public consciousness of, in the last 3 presidential administrations, we have deported 3 times as many people as were deported in the 100 years before 1996. Mass deportation is not something that we have to accept as a fact of life in the United States. In fact, it's something for which there's not much historical precedent. We need to think about it that way. And when we talk about immigration reform, we need to think about us, not some fiction that immigrants are others, that there are people who are down, who are trying to get across the border, or projections about wages or what our culture is going to be 20 or 30 years from now, or new arrivals. Most of this debate is about us, our families, our communities. The second point that I want to make is related to that. Congressman Garcia said it well, but let me reiterate. This is a bill that thinks about immigration reform in the same way that we've thought about criminal justice reform. That is, when you get into a process and we start looking at the outcomes of the policy, regardless of the intent, what is it that we find? We find that it disproportionately targets certain ethnic groups, certain neighborhoods, and certain families, putting them in a cycle of semi-permanent uncertainty, and that it purposefully divides our families. That's important. When we look at who's deported, and you look at the folks who are here in our organized deported community in places like Mexico, in El Salvador, and in many other places around the world, what do you find? You find people who are deported to countries that they've never known before. In other words, you find people that in every way, except formal citizenship, are Americans. Representative Garcia spoke about Miguel Perez. I remember meeting Miguel in Tijuana right after he was deported. He had a Cubs hat on. He was nervous. He was scared. He was in a place he'd never been before. This is a guy who was in Afghanistan not that long before this, right? I mean, serving his country. And what do we talk about? We talked about where the best hot dogs were in Chicago. I have my opinion about that. I keep that one secret. And we talked about which of the three La Pasaditas is the best to have the best tacos in Chicago, to which there's a very clear answer, the one with the new tiles. Okay, Miguel Perez is an American in every way. And we have to remember that when we have this debate. And then finally, the last thing that I want to say, and one of the most important aspects of the new way forward, is it restores judicial discretion. And it changes the definition under immigration law of an aggravated felony. And you have to understand that this is the kind of thing that we need if we want to restore law and order to our immigration system. We have to get away from this narrative that some of our friends on the right have imposed, that somehow being tough, quote unquote, tough on immigration is good for the rule of law. It's not. If you're a judge and you don't have the discretion to consider the service of a veteran in their deportation, you're not a judge. You've had what it means to be a judge taken from you. It's the same thing as when you're in a courtroom where there are no rules of evidence. It's the same thing as when you're having a trial and it's not open to the public. These basic aspects of our immigration system desperately need reform, and the New Way Forward is really the first one to take that seriously. So many of our childhood arrivals and our deported veterans would not have been deported if the judges could have considered their service to their country and their connection to their communities here in the US, and particularly their US citizen children. This is the only immigration reform that's on the table that's really taken this seriously. I'm heartened by Representative Garcia saying that maybe some of these aspects will end up in the Biden administration's reform. That would be terrific news, but we've got to keep the pressure on. And so importantly, we've got to keep that narrative that we're not talking about other people, we're talking about us. And we're talking about undoing a tremendous harm already done. And we're talking about reestablishing the rule of law, not weakening it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask our friend Cecilia Garcia from Chicago Family Reunification to share some words for us on the separation of families.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this discussion. Again, Cecilia Garcia from Founder Family Reunification, representing the 3 million American citizens affected by family separation. My husband in 2012 was deported. There's a misconception that everybody that gets deported, and that's why I believe they're forgotten, they somehow committed a crime. My husband's only crime was that he was coming home from work. He was pulled over a expired license plate. Since then, I've been fighting and advocating for families, because it's not just at the border they're separating, they're here in our own backyards. We have American citizens like myself, some that are even migrated, that become exiled. Children are in de facto. The detrimental effects to our children, two of my daughters were hospitalized for suicide ideation. We have one known case in Las Vegas, Silas Norvey, who after visiting his father at an ICE detention center, jumped out of the vehicle and died instantly. So these are effects that, are long term. And the only way I see this is a good bill, the New Way Forward, but we also need to stop the bleeding. It has to be caught in the system in order for this New Way Forward to apply. But what we need to do is stop deportations, period. So we have also the bill, the right to the American Right to Family, which will be reintroduced by Bobby Rush, to protect the 11 million that are living in the shadows right now. The best way for us to heal is to know as a family that, a child will come home from school, doesn't have to worry whether their parent will be deported or not. Me not having to decide whether to stay here in the country that I was born and raised in, or having to move to the country where my husband was deported. We need to find a reform where it's going to help all of us, including, the veterans, American citizens, the TPS holders, DACA, everybody. That it should be all inclusive and not just one separate issue. And this is why I also believe the New Way Forward complements with the American Right to Family. And I hope that Congressman Chuy Garcia, thank you for your efforts. And we need to make sure that we pressure the other elected officials, because they need all these votes in order for this to become legislation. And we know there's still a lot of Republicans in office that do not want this to happen. So, everybody here, everybody that's watching this, please, I ask everyone to call and talk to their congressman, their state official, and tell them that they have to bring something forward for immigration to help all the families so we can start beginning to heal. And thank you so much again for inviting me, and God bless everybody.
Thank you, Ceci. And now we'd like to have U.S. Navy deported veteran Alex Murillo talk to us a little bit about the effects of family separation on the families of our deported veterans.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Alex Murillo. I am from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, and I've been deported since 2011 for a nonviolent cannabis offense. I served right out of high school. Like many of our veterans here that are deported, I didn't know Mexico until I was deported here to Mexico. So that's one of the things that we have to go through. Our families are separated, and we got to remember that our families are military families. Once they separate us as veterans from our family, they're breaking up a military family. Okay, that's a military family that doesn't have a father anymore, or that doesn't have a provider. Okay, so this is happening across the board, not only to us as veterans, but it's happening to all millions and millions and millions of families. Okay, so we're having kids growing up without fathers or without mothers or without both. Okay, be it if they're in the military or not. And I wouldn't be surprised that this new way forward doesn't help out a lot more military families than we think, because some of these people that are coming back home, they have military brothers that are still there. They have a military family. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is that I think that we can be the spearhead of this thing. If it takes us as veterans to say all of us need to come back, then that's what it takes. First of all, we want all veterans to return home. Okay, now secondly, now we want the new way forward to return all the rest of our families home. This message now is to President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Mr. President, we have you on video. We've got Vice President Kamala Harris on video. We believe that you will be true to your word. Remember what you said. Remember that you said that you would bring us home. There's no honor in bringing us home once we're dead. Okay, now Javier Ramirez is on your watch. Javier Ramirez is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. He just recently passed away. And this is in your administration, during your administration. Once again, we're U.S. veterans, we're U.S. soldiers, and we deserve to be home. Also, our families deserve to have us home, and our broken military families need to be home, and this broken immigration system can be fixed. Let's find a new way forward, please. Thank you very much for having me on here.
Thank you, Alex. I'd like to have America Hernandez, undocumented youth, speak to us a little bit about the struggle of our childhood arrival youth. America.
Hi, all. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's such a, I think, honor to be on this call with so many of our veterans who have served this country, as well as our representatives. I am America Hernandez. I am a DACA recipient. I am a Californian, and I am an honorary Chicagoan, actually. Mm-hmm. I came to the United States when I was 3 months old, and I have been here all of my life. I have been an advocate for immigrants' rights for the past 20 years. I work with unaccompanied immigrant children. I see the families that are out here working in the farm working community. I grew up working in the farms. I mean, I think immigrant issues are in every aspect and facet of my life. And so from that experience today, more than anything, I want to focus on just the message to the Biden and Harris administration to fulfill their promise of granting us permanent protections. We've been waiting for a long time, all of us, not just DACA recipients, but all immigrant families. I am also somebody who will, in the next month, lose my father to deportation. And so I understand the pain of being separated from family. That said, I believe that we as immigrants have the right to the opportunity to fulfill our potential and to fully integrate into the American community. So there is no better time than now. This is the best time that there's gonna be. And so we need you to do something now today. So that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, America. Our next guest, I'd like to introduce Claudia Ramirez. She's the daughter of a Marine Corps veteran who recently passed away, exiled in the country he was born in, however, a country he really did not know. His death, we cannot allow it to be in vain. This is a direct cause of the negligence to our military servicemen. We need to correct this. We cannot allow any longer for any of our deported veterans to perish outside of the United States because they did not receive proper medical attention. Claudia, would you please join us?
I want to thank you for inviting me. And if I'm sensitive, it's because it's still really fresh, the death of my father. Today, we will be saying farewell to him. My dad was a proud Marine, and I was really angry when he died. And I didn't want anything to do with deportations anymore. I'm like, it's done. I'm not gonna fight anymore. But I didn't want my dad's death to be in vain. I don't want people to continue to feel the way my family feels. We have been in prison with my father for the past 17 years. So when you deport someone, you don't just deport him, you deport their whole family. We become incarcerated too, with mental health issues, with health issues ourselves. So it needs to stop. Someone needs to do something and bring these veterans home. If I would not have got there 5 hours, and my father passed away 5 hours after I arrived. If we have not have arrived, he would have died alone. So, you know, there are so many veterans that are sick probably out there, and we need to get them the right help, and they need to be brought home. It needs to stop. You know, when you deport someone, you're hurting their whole family, you know, and it's just, you're punishing them. Now, it's like double jeopardy, but I feel like triple jeopardy because we're being hurt as well. So something has to be done, and I really hope we continue. And Biden really keeps his word of bringing them home. No more deported veterans dying. You know how difficult it was to bring my dad home? He died on the 30th, and finally today we will be putting him to rest. It's too much anguish on our family. We can't even mourn his death the right way. So please, I hope for everyone that's out there, look out for those families that are looking for help. Support them, do something, speak out, help them go visit their families. It is difficult on everyone. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. God bless you.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to hear some brief comments from some of our coalition members in support of the New Way Forward. We'd like to hear some words from Oliver Merino.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Claudia, for sharing your story and the story of your father. Yeah, again, my name is Oliver Merino. I'm the coordinator of the Immigrant Justice Network, and yeah, I just want to say thank you to all the speakers, to Representative Garcia for his leadership and leading the reintroduction of the New Way Forward Act. You know, as we begin a new administration and a new Congress, as you heard today, you know, these stories and these issues haven't gone away, and this is the time to finally overhaul the immigration system and address and repair the harms that this system has caused, and you know, the countless families that have been separated, the communities that have been torn apart. And today you heard some of these stories, and as we as a network try to draw support for the New Way Forward Act. These are the stories that we carry with us, and we feel a responsibility to share them with the elected officials who have the power to do something, right, and to change these laws. And I just want to, also just add our voice to what people have said here today. And the New Way Forward Act, this is a bold legislation that I think provides a roadmap to what the immigration system can and should look like. A system that does not have to rely on criminalization and detention and deportation of people. And it would also provide an opportunity for people like Cesar, like Alex, and the families here of people who have been deported, an opportunity to come together again as a family, and give people the opportunity to come home, to rejoin their communities and their families in the U.S. So, we have, I think, here some powerful stories of why not just the New Way Forward is needed, but also of addressing this harm that this system has caused. So thank you for inviting us, and we're very, very happy to support you all and continue this fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. Next, we're going to ask our friend Maggie Loredo from Otros Dreams en Acción to talk to us about our deported and returned community. Again, childhood arrivals, our kids that were taken to the U.S. at a very young age and ended up returning to Mexico for one reason or another. Maggie, would you join us?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Maggie Loredo, former undocumented and now forcibly returned since 2008 to Mexico. On President's Day, I'm here today to remind all of you that there are thousands of deported and forcibly returned to Mexico, millions around the world living in limbo, in exile, and away from our families. It's time to stand up together for true accountability, reparation, and justice. COVID-19 has forced millions of people around the world to be away from their loved ones for the first time, to connect to funerals and family events over video calls. Our deported and returned community has endured this kind of painful isolation for decades. Our community has been forgotten for too long. U.S. citizen children are growing up away from their parents. Siblings are becoming strangers. Marriages are being torn apart because of your borders. And communities across the United States are incomplete without us. We need to eliminate the 3 and 10-year bars, to issue visas for family reunification purposes, and to create reforms that will allow our deported and returned community to come back home. Our struggle is not only for citizenship, it's for mobility, for family reunification, and dignity. No human being deserves to live in exile, away from our communities and hometowns. If you're in the United States, we need you. We need you to open the door for us and to organize with us. We need to go back home. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. And now we'll hear some words from Carlos Luna with Green Card Veterans and LULAC Council out of Chicago.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning. I wanted to thank you, Congressman Garcia, and to the coalition for this opportunity to speak on the inequity of separating military families through deportation. After years of work on this issue, I still encounter veterans who are shocked to learn that non-citizen counterparts could be deported. The truth is that there is no law in the land that veterans are not impacted by. In this case, veterans with trauma and other illnesses are preyed upon by agents in our local justice systems, quote, just doing their job, to convict and incarcerate as many people as possible under the tough on crime positions that have come into question more and more over recent years. Tomorrow, as you guys heard, we'll be laying to rest Javier Ramirez, a Vietnam-era Marine who died of multiple myeloma while in exile in Mexico last month, a presumptive condition for people of his generation. While our country's bureaucracy denied the Ramirez family their right to live and pursue happiness together, he will receive military honors at Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery. As Congressman Garcia said at the start of this event, veterans have been deported on the watch of presidents from both sides of the aisle since 1996. There have been policy proposals recommended to President Biden by LULAC and by Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois over the last month alone that would stop this inequity and begin to reunite families, veteran families, by establishing the proper protocols. I urge President Biden, to act on them swiftly to protect the military families who, like his, have lost so much for this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And now we'd like to ask Javier Rojas, deported artist, to join us on this much awaited time where he can unveil the Leave No One Behind mural project for us. Javier, would you kindly join us?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Javier Salazar. I go by the artist name Deported Artist. I am honored and humbled to have been chosen for the Leave No One Behind mural project. My inspiration for this piece comes from personal experience. I am a deported permanent resident, so I know what it means to be one of the faces in this mural. You see, we may all come from different backgrounds and different countries, but one thing we have in common is that the United States is the only place we have ever called home. When you get deported, it's like you're out of sight and you're out of mind. But with this mural here today, we are saying we are right here, aquí estamos, and we need a new way forward, a legal pathway that will allow us to come back home to the only home we have ever known and be reunited with our families. As an artist, my goal for this piece is to create awareness and to shed light to the plight of our deported veterans, our deported dreamers, our deported permanent residents, our deported childhood arrivals, and to strive for overall family reunification. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Javier. Now I would like to ask my two colleagues who's without their help, this project would not be possible. They've endured countless hours of work, of just giving all their into this project. I would like to introduce to you my good young friends, Lizbeth Santana and Jenny Martinez-Medina. Ladies, would you kindly share the project with us?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Robert. And like you mentioned, we've been working together on getting this mural project on the ground and working behind the scenes to make sure that logistics work out well and in our favor. So just to provide a background, I feel like a lot of our speakers today have really mentioned this idea that we need a way to get Congress to listen to us, that the people that will make the right decisions will include everyone who has already faced deportation. So with that said, we came up with this idea that through art, we can communicate the stories of those who have been displaced out of the US for many reasons, right? This is a topic that could, take a whole another talk for us to break it down. But at the end of the day, we want to be inclusive in the approach we are taking. And through the Leave No One Behind mural project, we are trying to do just that. So as you can see in this image here, and as you were able to see during the mural unveiling with Javier, the image here depicts different people. It depicts deported veterans, childhood arrivals, dreamers, people who had permanent residency but were deported as well. And I think it's really important to note here that there's also mothers portrayed in this mural. To be inclusive in this approach, we decided to focus on gender, age, and people that come from different backgrounds. It's really important to also emphasize that the mural seeks to uplift, at least at this point, more than 35 stories, and we continue to grow. At the moment, we have 2 of the murals ready, and we are working on the 3rd one at this moment. The dimensions for what we seek to work on is a mural that is 90 by 70 inches. So it's a pretty big mural. And I think this will allow visitors to also be able to get close to the mural and scan the QR codes that we'll be including. And once someone scans the QR code, what they will be able to see is a story of the participant who is part of the mural, or to read a letter that they've written. So it's something that they've made themselves personally, and for them to communicate their story and what they are seeking for in regards to immigration reform. And basically our goal at the end of the day is to have a mural in all 50 states. That would be amazing. And if, folks on the ground would be able to help us make that happen, that would be, fantastic, just because we need to make noise. And I feel like through art, that's like the easiest way. And, just put it on people's faces, that this is a situation that has been, occurring for more than one administration, and it has a lot of like history behind it. So just as a clear general outline, this is a very do-it-yourself method. The folks who want to be a part of this mural project don't have to have any artistic background. So all you have to do is work with maybe 3 people to get this mural up on a wall and get the permissions needed. So I'll let Jenny speak a little bit more about the locations and the veterans as well.
Hi, everyone. Wonderful to be here today. Thank you for sharing all your stories. And thank you, Robert, for emceeing this. I'm super honored to be able to join with all of you today. And I just want to just quickly flag that I'm from the Central Valley, California. My brother is a U.S. Army veteran that was also deported after he came back, from service, struggling with PTSD. So what we're doing here is really, as my colleague Liz mentioned, we're building a coalition of veteran and immigrant advocacy groups to fight against these entrenched systems that continue to incarcerate and deport our communities. So this mural project is really a tool for political action and healing. And so let me just share my screen here. Most of the people depicted in this mural all come with deep ties to the communities. So they're still tied to the communities they were deported to. And so we're working with local organizers to reclaim these stories and really disrupt the erasure of deportation is really our goal. And so at the end of the day, we want to reroute these stories that belong to the folks that were deported in their hometowns. And we're calling on local organizers to take up space, really. And so the map on your screen shows where we're launching these murals. Most of our stories correspond, if you take a notice here, along the southwestern border. And those are really the clusters where our gente have intensely felt the impact of mass incarceration and deportation brought from the 90s crime bill, restrictive immigration policies in the 90s. And so we're really prioritizing the locations that will have the most impact and will allow us to make targeted noise directed at elected officials. So we're really asking for 2 actions, right? It's first, in support of the executive order to bring deported veterans home. And the second is the New Way Forward Act to really curb criminal systems and the deportation pipeline. And so the goal is to raise enough money to expand to all 50 states. And so the point of the mural, as my colleague Liz mentioned, is to make it harder for elected officials to look away. And so, in the US, immigrants make up 44 million of the population, and 13% of the veteran population are from immigrant families. And so many of the families did not move here, they were displaced. And so currently our murals are depicting over 11 nationalities in different countries. And for many of you, veterans are deported all over the world. And in this mural, we're representing veterans deported to Mexico, Central America, Costa Rica, India, Jamaica, Haiti, Kenya, the Philippines, and Dominican Republic. And the veterans that you will see in the murals are at different removal stages. Some have already been deported, some are in the removal stage, others are returnees. And so what really the goal is, the final culmination point of this mural installation, it will occur in Washington, D.C., when we have a delegation of deported veteran advocates, nearing at the end of Biden's first 100 days, go out there, install the final mural, and hand an executive order to Biden as well. And so, this is not the time for elected officials to waver support from immigrant communities that brought them to power this past election. And so through public art, we're really trying to hold Biden and the Harris administration and Congress accountable to that. But at the end of the day, ultimately, at the end of the day, this project is about healing. We heard voices from folks that have been separated. We've heard from Claudia, who was able to reunite with her father, but it was too late. And at the end of the day, we want this mural to provide a space for people to reclaim their stories. And so we're honoring, veteran service, but we're also honoring the stories of childhood arrivals, undocumented youth, and we're validating their pain and experiences brought by family separation. Just really quick, I want to send a huge shout out to all the organizers on the ground that have already started building those bridges so we could make some mural installations coming March. And so they're really the bridge builders here, and they're the ones strengthening this movement. So Nick Bass out in New Mexico, they're doing great work. We have organizers in Bakersfield and so many more sprouting up, especially special thanks to Veterans for Peace as well. That's really helping us on the ground.
Great. Thank you very much, Jenny, Liz. Now we'd like to ask Michael McPherson, former executive director with Veterans for Peace, to speak to us a little bit about the call to action on getting these murals supported and installed. And why not? Let's shoot for all 50 states. Michael.
Hey, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. First, my name's Michael McPherson. I'm a Army veteran, combat veteran. I live in Seattle, Washington. I have to say I'm overwhelmed by the stories. If you've been listening to this out there in Facebook land, these amazing and powerful stories. And then we have the opportunity to see this incredible mural. So I'm totally overwhelmed by them, and I'm honored to be here to help my deported veteran brothers and sisters, because we want to make sure we leave no one behind, that we bring everyone home. So right now is very important. It's a critical time. That's the reason that we're doing this. We can really make this happen, but we need people's help. If you're out there listening to this, you need to understand we need your help to make this happen. Now, why is this a critical moment? Well, the Biden administration has promised to have just immigration reform, and he has signed executive orders moving in the right direction. So that means there is momentum for immigration reform. And as it mounts, we must increase the visibility of deported veterans to ensure they and their families are not forgotten. So here are 4 ways you can help, and you can really make a difference. This one is pretty easy. When you receive an action alert and you get information about deported veterans, please take time to take action and make sure, if you're a Veterans for Peace chapter or if you're in any organization, let members know about it, about this issue. Let your friends and family know about this information and about this issue. Do whatever the call to action asks you to do. Call your representative or whatever it is. Write a letter. Put letters, op-eds in newspapers. The second thing you can do, especially if you're a veteran, please make a video to the Biden administration, urging them to sign an executive order to stop veteran deportation and allow deported veterans to return home. That's a big thing that you can do. Also urge Biden and Congress to remember deported veterans in immigration reform, and then post this video on social media and send those links to us if you're able to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, you can get in touch with me. I believe that my contact information has been put in the chat, and I'll help you do that. Or you can go to Veterans for Peace. You can find me, believe me. Okay, the next thing you could possibly do is host a webinar as an individual or a chapter. Now, you don't have to worry about putting the content together. We'll do that for you. Again, get in touch with us. What we need you to do is promote it in your community, in your networks, to your family and friends. We want to get outside the usual circles, the usual suspects in terms of know about these issues. We need to get to a broader audience. So that's what we need you to do. We will provide the content. And then last, this might be the hardest, but it's easy too. Host a Leave No One Behind mural in your city. Okay, now that can really be the big thing you can do, because the more places we get this mural up, the more people see it, and they'll be awed by it. Because Javier did a great job. I have to say, it's an awesome mural. So it costs about $300 to bring to your city. Please do that. Do one of these, but I really am asking people to do all 4 of these things. So take action when you get an action alert, post a video, host a webinar, and host the Leave No One Behind mural. You can do all 4 of these things. And of course, a big one is donate money. Because nothing can be done if you don't donate. Nothing can be done without funds. That's just the way that it is. So donate some money, help us out that way. We can make this campaign happen. We can bring our deported veterans home. We can reunite families. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. Now, what we'd like to do is if we have any questions that may have come up from the media or through our Facebook Live, I would like to ask our colleagues, Liz and Jenny, if we have any questions, we can go ahead and respond to them.
Yes, I believe there's a question by Maria Zamudio. She's asking if there will be a mural in Chicago.
Okay, and what we're going to do with the response on the questions is we'll have our panel participants respond to them. I think both you or Jenny can respond to that one.
Yeah, sure. Well, in Chicago, we are working with local organizers. You heard from Carlos Luna and Cecilia Garcia today. So we're really tapping in with them to figure out when we could post that mural. Ideally, we want all the murals to be posted by mid-March, so we could perhaps have some coverage on that. And so I would say stay tuned for early March. You might hear a little more on when exactly we'll have the mural in Chicago. Great question. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So a follow-up question is our timeline. So basically it's super accessible to get the mural to your city. It just depends on shipping and the printing. It's probably like 2 days, considering the glue that we will use and also getting the print on the ground. So we want to have all the murals up before March 12th. That's our deadline that we have, all agreed on. So after that, our actions will involve more of like the policy take with the story. So just to answer that question, Maria, it just depends on the organizers on the ground, but by the 12th, that's our biggest deadline. So we hope to have all of our murals up by then.
Great. Do we have any other questions?
Someone on Facebook asked, Liz, how can we help with the mural installations? Supporting from Phoenix, Arizona for my brother, Alex Murillo.
Okay, awesome. Yes, so if you're interested to be a part of this and, for example, you need the funds and you can't fundraise, definitely contact us. We will support you in making sure that the mural gets to you with all the materials that you will need. We will also be creating a video from the first installation. That way you know how this all works and you can see how easy it is. So definitely, if, for example, someone from a specific city does fund a mural, then you could also join them in any capacity supported through the pandemic and all the protocols that we have to take into consideration. But it's doable, and I feel like it's just a matter of fact of us putting all the information together. We're gonna create events on Facebook through the Leave No One Behind Mural Project Facebook like page, where we're gonna make sure that everyone knows where the installations are happening. That way people could know where to go and check for these. Let's see, we have another question. Okay. Yeah, so someone's asking specifically for Chicago, if we have connections there to get a mural on the ground. For my behalf, I don't really have anyone in Chicago. So if someone's watching and you would love to have this mural there, definitely do contact us and we'll make it happen. So for any news outlet that is asking this question, I think this is really important, getting the mural out there, the information of what we seek to do. So interested folks could contact us. And definitely you can have more than one mural at your city. It doesn't have to be limited to one wall per city. Like, for example, I'm in Fresno, but a lot of our veterans are from Madera, Tulare, the Central Valley area in California. So we might want to have more than just one mural in the Central Valley. Okay.
Right, and to add a little bit to that, what we'll be doing on our end is rallying around your particular event when you have your mural installed. We're going to be working very closely with Oliver at the Immigration Justice Network so that we can give your particular install the amount of attention that is needed to bring added awareness from your community, because it's not only about, you know, the project of installing it, but getting people rallied around that install to contact their congressperson, their senators, to urge them to support and endorse the New Way Forward Act.
And I would also say you could always contact us, the Leave No One Behind mural project, either through social media, or we could drop our email and all the Facebook links. That way we could connect organizers across different states. And so that way we could do some collective efforts there. So, you have all the means. We'll supply you with what you need to get those murals. Just find your community. And we're really hoping this is really just a spark to really reclaiming spaces and public art walls, where we could elaborate further from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
We do have another question. If the image is shareable on social media, or is it going to be available also? And yes, once after we're done with this conference call, we will be posting it on our archive and also on social media. So for example, if for some reason you want to make the mural on your own, get those materials printed, or do anything like cultural materials, for example, t-shirts, stickers, or something to really create awareness like posters, you are free to do so, and definitely tag us on social media so we could share this. So the image is going to be free of use for anyone who, wants to participate. So definitely do watch out for that and let us know definitely if you decide to use it. And there's another question.
Okay.
Can I, sorry, can you talk a little bit about how it goes up and that it is permanent? Yes, so we will be using a specific glue that allows for the material that we're using, which is vinyl, to really be placed on this wall permanently. So if folks are familiar with the Playas de Tijuana mural project, which is at the border point in between Mexico and San Diego, in Playas de Tijuana, we have a mural down there, which is by the sea. There's salt and just the weather, but the mural has still, remained intact. So it's still there since 2019. So the same thing with this new mural. We hope that it would last, a long time, because I feel like this effort is gonna continue for more of the months ahead. So yes, it's really permanent. So I would say find a wall that will work well, meaning that something that's flat, that doesn't have like windows, because the mural will, stay there for maybe like a year or two, hopefully.
Great. Thank you, Liz. Do we have any other questions you see coming in, or?
Yes, there's questions of people asking how they can participate. So there's different ways, and I feel Michael shared a few of how you could also support us in creating advocacy and just uplifting the stories. But this one's specifically in being part of the mural. Send us a message. We do expect that maybe we will have to make more than just 3 murals at this point, because the stories are, they're all important. And I think that just one single story cannot just, umbrella everyone's experiences. So depending on funds, again, like Michael mentioned, it would really be great to create murals all over the US with different portraits. So, stay in tune and share our fundraisers so we could make this happen.
Great. Excellent. Well,
We
thank you
do
very
have-
much.
So just one more quick question. We have on the Facebook Lives, we have questions about certain locations. Please contact us, and there are some organizers in separate areas, so contact us so we could get you linked to that network of organizers that might already be in your community, so we could really join our efforts.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Liz and Jenny.
Can I answer one more question? Sorry.
Okay, no, that's great.
Someone asked if we could only install murals in the US, and the answer is no. So we are trying to support one of our friends in Mexico who actually has a printing press and whose wife is also portrayed in the mural. So we are actually printing in Mexico. So we're printing in Tijuana. And just to clarify a little bit, the first mural will go up in Tijuana with community members, and Robert Vivar is in charge of this. So definitely, if you want a mural in Mexico City or, Guadalajara, Michoacan, wherever you want, just, contact us again and, we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. Probably Ciudad Juarez, because of the high concentration of deported veterans, is going to be a key city. And I know that Ivy and Nick and Michael Evans and all the other guys out there would more than likely want to install one. Great. I think we're going to go ahead and close the event for the day. As Liz and Jenny have mentioned several occasions, if you have any questions, any additional information you may need, don't hesitate to contact us. Other organizations that might want to be a part of this coalition, of this movement, you are all very much welcome. This is what this is about, is creating a wave of coalitions, of awareness, of pressure on elected officials to stop ignoring us, to stop neglecting us, and make sure that families are reunited, that our deported veterans are repatriated, that we end the suffering of these broken immigration laws. I want to thank my colleagues, Liz and Jenny. Again, you ladies are incredible. But then again, you do have skin in this game because you both are military families. So you are, heavily involved, not only as immigrant families, but because you are also military families. We want to thank, of course, every one of our friends on the panel, our organizations that are supporting. And we want to thank, of course, the public that has been viewing this transmission. And a very special thank you to Councilwoman Johanna from Las Cruces, and our unmeasurable appreciation to Congressman Garcia and all of his staff for making this possible. Congressman Garcia, and I hope you don't mind if we start calling you Chuy, because we feel like, you are our brother, you are our Chuy. And all of your staff, Patty, Fabiola, Natalia, David, Lynette, and I hope I didn't miss anybody. This couldn't have happened without your help also, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you.